Hi and welcome to Of Hymns and Home. I'm Neves. I'm a mother to 3 children and we've been home educating our children using a Charlotte Mason method for now 3 years. This is our 3rd year and I speak about our home education and our faith journey on this channel, so I hope you stick around. It's been a while since I last came and talked to you on this channel, and that's because I've just had so much on my plate. I had a lot of different balls I was juggling, and my home and my family are really my top priorities. So I had to decide to cut some things out, and fortunately, because I really enjoy doing this, YouTube was one of those things. Today I wanted to talk about our honest experience using the Alveary curriculum by the Charlotte Mason Institute. We use the Alviary curriculum with Ambleside Online, and using the two has provided us with a rich learning experience, and it just works really well for our family. The Alviary is really an open and go curriculum. The website is a one-stop shop, so you'll find all the subjects you need except for math, and they have a recommendation for that. All the subjects you need to deliver your children a wholesome home education experience. And that's exactly what I was looking for. I was looking for something I can easily open and not have so much preparation and planning to do beforehand, because it was my first year educating my daughter as part of a formal education. She's a year 1 student. And then also I had a little baby, and I still do, but he's a little bit bigger now. So I really wanted something where the planning work was done for me, and the Alviary has delivered that for me. I think that most people who do use the Alviary, given the cost, probably use it in its entirety. Now, we don't. There's certain book selections that I preferred for Ambleside Online, and so when I purchased the Alviary membership way back in February of last year, I had a preference for certain books that the Ambleside Online side was using, and I had a little bit of a regret in the beginning because I felt overwhelmed. But we use the Alviary for specific subjects, and it's still quite a lot of them. So we use it for, I just have the list here so I don't forget: geography, French, language studies, so reading and writing, Bible study, artist study, which we just started recently, music, recitation, and we also recently started using their science curriculum. The Alviary follows a Charlotte Mason structure, and so it's divided into 3 terms of 12 weeks, and the 12th week is the exam week. And on their website, as part of the curriculum, they have the exam questions for you, so that's really laid out nicely as well. For the membership cost, I paid $299 US. I say US dollars because I'm in Canada and our Canadian dollar is not very strong right now, so it is much more expensive here. And when you pay, you get access to all the different grades. So if you have a student in year 1, in year 3, in year 5, you have access to it all. You pay, it's a family fee. As I mentioned, the preparation work is very much open and go. The website also has a lot of different extra resources. They have a lot of training materials for the mother teacher. They have planning guides. They talk about how to teach the different subjects, and it's very useful. Now, I've used that side in the very beginning. I've used some of their planning guides and teaching guides as well. But ever since, I really haven't had the time to utilize all of the extras that they have on their website. And their website is very much rich with information. They also have a forum where it's quite active. A lot of people post on it. Members do share experiences and tips with each other. So that's very beneficial when you are using a curriculum like that, so you don't feel like you're the only one. I really appreciate the open and go nature of the curriculum. It has been a lifesaver for me in this season of life. I feel like I am getting more confident with it though, so I don't necessarily need it as much as I did in the beginning, but it has really saved a lot of my time having everything planned out for me. In the beginning, when I purchased the curriculum, I was very overwhelmed seeing everything that the website had to offer. And as I mentioned, I purchased it in the very beginning when they opened up their book selection. And so I had quite a few months to get acquainted with it. It took some time. It did feel a little bit overwhelming. But once I started getting the books and then printing out the materials, which I printed out, I put them in binders, and then I would plan out or see how things are going to pan out throughout the year, it started making a whole lot more sense. So even though the individual lessons are planned out for you, you still need to plan out your terms and your weeks. And so they have an online tool called Syllabird, which I've heard really great things about from people. I don't use it because I find having one student in year one very manageable to do. Just using the Ambleside online schedule that they have, I populated with our Alveary side and all of our extra readings as well. And I did that in the very beginning of the year. I did that for the 3 terms. I printed it, and now that's what I use for our planning for the weeks. I can see how using something like Syllabird would be useful for if you have students in multiple forms. I'm just a paper and pen kind of person, so I appreciate having something to hold and to see in front of me. And the less I need to use technology, the better for me and for my children. Something I do find a little bit tricky is the use of the QR codes for access to resources for this specific lesson. So as I've mentioned, I printed out my curriculum, and sometimes I find myself fiddling with the QR codes. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. And then I get to the website, and then there's a list of resources that I have to scan through. So that's been sometimes a little bit annoying, but it's not that big of a deal. And I'm thinking mainly, for example, for also our music curriculum, I found it a little overwhelming to have music suggested as a lesson every week. So I've narrowed it down to hymn and folk songs, and that's what we do. It did take me getting used to the idea of not needing to do everything on the menu that they recommend and to choose what works best for our family. And I'm mainly thinking of, for example, the music curriculum, which has a lesson for each day of the week. And we just don't have the time to integrate that. And my daughter already takes piano lessons on top of that. So I keep it at a bare minimum. We do our hymn and we do our folk song. And then when time allows, and for example, when my daughters are having lunch, then I will play some of the extras. Okay, let's talk about the richness of the book selections and of the curriculum. I've heard so many different reviews of this. I've heard that it is way too modern, and that hasn't been our experience. I think that the Alviary marries some of the older books alongside with some of the newer ones. They have a committee that selects what qualifies as a living book and what will make it into a specific grade's Charlotte Mason curriculum. And so they seem to have a very rigorous process in selecting these books. And so far, the more modern books that I've found are really some of the picture books that are part of the science curriculum and the geography curriculum, which I think help the children engage better and are a great tool for teaching the lessons. Maybe something else that I'm thinking about is the church history component. So the church history fictions that we've been reading have been more modern, but again, it's been engaging, and it is with characters from the past, and it allows the child to be introduced to a real human being that has lived, for example, like John Bunyan, to be introduced to him and to his story and to his life through a book that has been written more recently. I do think they're true to the Charlotte Mason method. I don't think that Charlotte Mason would have wanted the books to stay in a certain era and not evolve past that when there are some good pieces of literature being written past her time. And the Alveary has recently released a video about how they selected the books for 2026-2027 school year. It's on the Charlotte Mason Institute YouTube channel, so you can take a look at that if you are considering the Alviary. I will say, when I first heard some of the hearsay about the Alviary literature not being as rich as, for example, Ambleside Online's And I've heard that from women whom I respect, like including authors. I was a little bit concerned, but that has not been our experience. We, just for a little bit of perspective, we are a Christian family, and I like to keep my children away from a lot of the modern things out there, songs, movies, TV shows. Now, a lot of them do make it into our home, but you know, my children don't have a clue who certain of the most acclaimed modern artists are. And I want to keep it like that for as long as possible, because I think their ears and especially their hearts and their souls, they're getting trained to love the true good and beautiful things in life. And I really see that in my children, and the way they respond to certain works of art or certain symphonies, and that is, or certain books that we're reading. They're not getting bored of them because it's too slow or because it uses certain language that they might not understand. And that was very important for me. And I found that the Alveary really went with what our family values are, and it worked really great for us. So with all that said, I think the Alviary and Ambleside Online really complement each other well for our family, and it's been a great year so far. Will we be using the Alviary again next year? I don't know. I'm contemplating what the best decision is for the next year for our family. I'm going to have a kindergartner and a second grader. So I'm still thinking about that. I don't want to choose something just because it's so familiar, but at the same time, it has worked really well for us. So I don't know. But if you do use the Alviary, I would love to know your thoughts. And if you have switched from the Alviary and are using a different kind of curriculum that works better for your family and that is so rich, I would love to know what it is and how it's been going for you. And I didn't get into the specifics of what our subjects are looking like and what our year has been like, because I intend to make a different video about that, to talk about how our year has gone so far. So that will be something to look forward to. Thank you for being here until the very end, and I will see you next time. Bye.